speaking French. Oh la la. Walgreens.
$0 copays apply to Tier 1 generic drugs and select plans where Walgreens is a preferred pharmacy.
Celebrate the 55th edition of the big game with exclusive 55-1 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. If you've never tried FanDuel before, new users can bet on either team and get 55-1 odds when the Bucks play the Chiefs. That's right. You can bet $5 to win $275 if you pick the winner of the big game on February 7th. I've been betting football on FanDuel all season long, and on FanDuel Sportsbook, there are a range of betting options from player props to daily odds boosts, and don't forget about the same-game parlays, so you can get a massive payout on a small bet only with FanDuel Sportsbook. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and use my promo code HENNIG to get 55-1 odds on the big game. That's promo code HENNIG with FanDuel Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older to play and present in NJRPA. New users only. Must wager on designated boost market deposit required. Max bonus $275. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The radio home for Philadelphia Flyers hockey.
With in front, deflected, they score!
WENK 18 Millville, Atlantic City, 97.3 ESPN. This is Sports Bash Saturday with Josh Hennig, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Now, Sports Bash Saturday. Here's Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig here, Sports Bash Saturday on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. And we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can watch the show live on the stream. We got a busy show, a lot to get to, a lot going on in the world. Of course, you can text in at 609-403-0973 to get on the conversation. Also, don't forget you can comment on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter while you watch the show. Still to come on the show at 12:20, we will be joined by DraftKings NFL analyst Reid Fowler. You've heard him all year long here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll get his thoughts one more time on the big game tomorrow. Of course, you can hear the big game coverage right here on 97.3 ESPN starting at 3 p.m. tomorrow. So Reid will join us then. Also, we got to talk some Sixers. We have Paul Hudrick. He covers our Sixers for 97.3 ESPN.com. He is our Sixers insider for us. And we got to talk to him because this situation going into tonight's game, there's definitely questions out there. There's definitely questions about how is this game being played? Should this game be played? How is this all happening with the Kevin Durant situation? Obviously, no Durant tonight is a big blow to the pedigree of the game. It's still Kyrie. It's still Hardin versus Simmons and Embiid and the Sixers. But the Durant situation, it's like a dark cloud hanging over the head of the game. So we are going to be joined by Paul Hudrick coming up in about an hour and 17 minutes from now, around 1:20, to get in on that conversation as well about the Sixers tonight. Of course, Super Bowl tomorrow, we will get to that as well. But I got to start with this Eagles stuff because I didn't have the opportunity to be on the radio yesterday because of high school basketball. And this stuff going on with Carson Wentz, the trade rumors, what team is he going to go to, and how this is all playing out. Honestly, it's getting a little annoying. And here's why, for me at least, it's getting annoying. At some point, it doesn't matter about the contract. At some point, we got to let go of this contract situation. At some point, we just got to admit, without thinking about the contract, because those are two separate issues. There are two separate issues here. One is Carson Wentz's contract. The other is, should he still be in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform? To me, you got to separate those. And that's part of the reason why I see so many people arguing about this. Because on one hand, you have people like Andrew Brandt and others who worked in the NFL, covered the NFL, who know the ins and outs of the sport, who say you can't trade Wentz, the contract's untradeable, you can't take that contract hit. On the flip side, you have people who are among the most credible people in the entire business covering the sport. Adam Schefter, Chris Mortensen, our own buddies, Eagles insiders, Adam Kaplan and Jeff Mosher, Tim McManus of ESPN. You have Ian Rappaport and Mike Garafolo of NFL Network. They are all on the other side saying teams are calling about Wentz, and the Eagles are listening to the calls. That is utterly insane. That there is two completely different sides on this conversation. The conversation should not be if teams are calling Wentz. The conversation shouldn't be Wentz's contract. The conversation is this situation tenable moving forward with a quarterback who refuses to talk to anybody on the media or on social media? A quarterback who obviously was playing hero ball this year. A quarterback who was a MVP candidate in 2017 and now all of a sudden is hated by half the city. Can you really bring Carson Wentz back? Especially when his own teammate, Jalen Mills, who also spoke to the media this week, when he was asked about what they should do with this situation with the quarterback position, said this.
I think you let those guys battle it out, man. During camp, you let those guys battle it out, and whoever is the best man, that's the guy who's going to be your starter day one.
That's what your teammate thinks. That's what Carson Wentz's own draft class guy. Remember, Mills was a late round pick in the same draft as Wentz. He won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. He has done everything this organization has asked him to do. And now the media asked him an honest question about Carson Wentz, right? The media asked him this honest question, and he turned around and he gave an honest answer. All right? So, does Carson Wentz want to come in here and compete? Should Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts compete for the job? These are the questions that should be asked. And I'll answer them for you. For me, I'm over Carson Wentz. As someone who was as diehard a backer of him in 2016, 17, 18, 19, I have gone 360 on him. I do not like the fact he has taken any accountability for anything that happened this year. And don't tell me that he gave out the talking points. We got to do better. We got to play better. I got to be better, blah, blah, blah. Anybody can say that. Anybody with half a brain can read off that script. While other quarterbacks in the NFL are out there telling you, this is what I did wrong. This is what I have to do better. When Aaron Rodgers gets up there and says, I made a bad throw. Tom Brady says, I made a bad throw. When Deshaun Watson says, I got to do this better. And then in a press conference breaks down why he made a certain throw because of the cover scheme of the defense. While Tua Tagovailoa in Miami explains to you why he made a bad throw running to the wrong side of the field on a play. While other quarterbacks around the NFL are answering questions about their play, Carson Wentz can only give you, I got to be better, I got to play better. And then keeps making the same mistakes again and again and again. And we all thought, oh, well, maybe it's Doug Peterson. Maybe Peterson's the problem. Maybe the relationship is strained, like the reports are out there. You get rid of Doug Peterson, still nothing from Wentz. You hire Nick Sirianni, still nothing from Wentz. Where is he? What is he doing? He can't congratulate the new coach on social media? He can't talk to anybody about anything? Supposedly, Wentz has talked to his teammates in recent weeks. I don't know that for a fact. That's supposedly. The only thing we've seen from Carson Wentz since Christmas Day is he wants Rodney McLeod to win Walter Payton Player of the Year. That's it. Meanwhile, Jalen Hurts appeared on multiple platforms this week talking to the media. Other Eagles appeared during Super Bowl week talking to the media. Where is Carson Wentz? Persona non grata. MIA. Not around. Unavailable. Uninterested. I mean, what is he afraid he's going to say? Is he afraid he's going to say anything and be criticized for it? I mean, he's obviously getting some bad advice. For his people to tell him, don't talk to the media the final day. Don't talk to anybody else. Don't be on social media. Be quiet. Let this thing pass. I mean, that's just horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But I'm supposed to sit here and say, oh, yeah, let's bring Carson Wentz back. He's our starter. No. I don't even know. I don't know who the starter should be next year. I'm not 100% sold on Hurts, but I sure know that I don't want it to be Wentz. You cannot win with a quarterback who cannot be a leader. Part of being a leader is admitting if you make a mistake and you work on correcting it. The great players in this league are constantly working at being the best they can be. There was never a point in time when you've watched the careers of Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, fill in the blank quarterback who you think is better than Wentz. Dak Prescott for the you Cowboy fans out there. Matthew Stafford for those people who wanted Stafford on their team. Do you think any of these quarterbacks, or Russell Wilson for that matter, are just the same all year long? You don't think that they don't work on things from year to year? How does Carson Wentz regress this much and keep making the same mistakes? Unless Carson Wentz is just incapable of admitting that he's wrong. Now, according to some reports out there, he doesn't trust people. He doesn't believe that people can help him. Honestly, if the situation is that bad that he can't trust people, he can't rely on people, and blah, 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 then Carson honestly needs to have a conversation with himself and everyone else. If he has such a distrust problem, if he has such an issue with admitting his own mistakes, if he is this blind, this naive, this whatever you want to call it, then he's got to go. I'm done with him. I'm over him. 609-403-0973 is the text board again on the conversation. Also, we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can watch the show, Josh Hennig, live in the Matt Black Kia studios on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, Sports Bash Saturday being brought to you by Matt Black Kia. Matt Black Kia wants to get you approved today. That's Matt Black Kia on the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township. You can comment on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Still to come on the show, Reid Fowler, DraftKings NFL analyst. In about 7-8 minutes from now, in an hour from now, we'll be joined by Sixers insider for 97.3 ESPN.com, Paul Hudrick, about the Sixers. So we got a lot to get to throughout the show. Also, I will give you some UFC picks for tonight. Yes, there is a UFC card tonight. It is not a main event, pay-per-view card. So it's on, non-pay-per-view television. You don't have to pay any extra money for it, but you can still have opportunity, maybe make some extra shekels. So we'll give you those picks later in the show, of course. Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget that my appearance here on 97.3 ESPN is being brought to you by my friends over at weightliftinghq.com. Weightliftinghq.com is here to help you meet all your health and fitness goals in 2021, and they're going to help you do it from home. That's right. Weightliftinghq.com wants to help you do whatever you need, however you need, but from the comfort of your own home. So whether you need a bench or squat rack, kettlebells, dumbbells, a cardio or fitness machine, resistance bands, anything you need, weightliftinghq.com is here to help you. They're located right here in South Jersey. They'll deliver it right to your home so you can work out from home. Maybe you're someone who can't get to the gym because you're working from home and you got kids to take care of. Or maybe you're someone who you're not ready to go back to the gym because of everything going on in the world. Or maybe you're someone who just says, I only get to the gym so many days in the week. It'd be so nice if I had some things at home to work out with. Well, weightliftinghq.com is here to help you. And right now, if you use my promo code Radio10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order. That's right. Radio10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order at weightliftinghq.com. That's Radio10 at weightliftinghq.com. Also, I'll remind you a little bit later in the show who my Super Bowl pick is and why. I'll get to that a little bit later in the show as well. I did give it out on Wednesday and Thursday, but I will give it to you guys again a little bit later. 609-403-0973 is text. I'm going to get one text in here before we hit the break at 609-403-0973 because, listen, I'm not afraid of people disagreeing with me. It's fine if you disagree with me. You can be agreeably disagreeable. Texter on the text board says, Carson Wentz doesn't owe the media or all people anything. Smartest thing he could do is shut his mouth. Horrible or not, he loses money every word that exits his mouth. He's getting paid. It isn't worth it. Well, first of all, part of your job as an NFL player is to communicate with the media. Part of your job as an NFL player is to speak to the media. So when he declined to speak to the media the other day, that's a bad look. All right. If Carson Wentz is concerned about losing money or, being smart, you got to understand optics. When you don't speak is just as bad as you speak too much. So if he doesn't understand that, that's a problem. You got to be self-aware in life. And part of being self-aware is understanding that you can't just sit there and not answer questions at all. And especially when Jalen Hurts is around making the media calls, making the media rounds on Instagram Live with Kay Adams. You don't think anybody was watching that? Of course everybody was watching that. We all were watching that. So as a result, Carson Wentz, he needs to do something. To me, the silence means he just doesn't want to be here. That's what it's really about. All right, 609-403-0973 is the text board to get on the conversation. Joining us next, DraftKings NFL analyst Reid Fowler joins the show right here on Sports Bash Saturday on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Just follow 97.3 ESPN.
Today on Compass Media Network's coverage of NCAA basketball. It's a pivotal showdown in the Big Ten as the Illinois Fighting Illini host the Wisconsin Badgers. Can Dimitri Trice and the Badgers earn a tough road win over Ayo Dosunmu and the Fighting Illini? It's Wisconsin and Illinois. If it's NCAA basketball, it's right here.
The college basketball season continues only on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 2:30.
Kendall Auto Plaza offers the area's best car and truck buying experience with 60 years of customer satisfaction and community service. What's on their 100-acre lot? A huge inventory of Ford, Lincoln, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Chrysler, and over 100 quality and certified pre-owned vehicles. Whether you use your car, truck, or SUV for work or play, discover why Kendall customers are so loyal. Kendall Auto Plaza, exit 10 of the Parkway on Stone Harbor Boulevard, or shop from home at KendallAutoplaza.com.
Hindsight is 20/20. 2020 was a brutal year with a lot we couldn't control. Pandemic, economy, unemployment. What can we control? Our job, our career. Don't look back with 2020 hindsight next year and see yourself in that 2020 job. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. You could start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Live online classes meet just twice a week. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Hey guys, are you afraid of taking off your shirt in public? Don't be embarrassed. Just say, I love Lyle back instead with male breast reduction. Many men develop a fullness in their chest as boys that persists and even worsens as they get older. This condition is called gynecomastia, and with simple liposuction, most cases can be effectively treated. Call 856-MAKEOVER today to schedule your private consultation with Dr. Lyle and Back. That's 856-MAKEOVER, or visit ilovelyleback.com.
Recently, Total Wireless helped Charlie Michelle stage a virtual dance recital for her friends and family.
This event was super meaningful to them.
Because when you move to Total Wireless, you can get amazing devices on nationwide 5G. And with unlimited plans starting at $25 a month, you could save up to $1,200 a year.
Thank you, Total Wireless, for helping me pull this off.
Total Wireless. Do amazing. Compatible 5G device required. 5G network in limited areas. Month equals 30 days. Savings claim made when compared to 4-line postpaid plans of leading carriers 10-20-20. See terms and conditions at totalwireless.com.
Babe, look, cash pop from the New Jersey Lottery. We just got to match one number, 1 through 15, to win.
Whoa, so easy.
Our anniversary date? September
6th?
14th.
Not to interrupt you guys, but the more numbers you play, the better your odds of winning.
Well, the 6th was our first date anniversary.
Aw, let's play both numbers.
With Cash Pop, you could win up to 250 times your wager. So pop in and play. Anything can happen in Jersey. Must be 18 or older to buy a lottery ticket. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Liberty. Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
As a minimalist, paying less for insurance is more.
Nice place. Is your house a bubble?
It's a dome. I find corners unnecessary.
At Liberty Mutual, that's how we feel about overpaying for insurance.
But I do miss having shelves.
What would you put on them?
Nothing, obviously.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Beachcombing, baking cookies, learning French. Aren't these what you'd rather be doing than thinking about your Medicare prescriptions? Well, Walgreens is here to help you get back to it with convenient refill and pickup options, expert pharmacists to answer all your questions, and Medicare copays as low as $0. Zero. Which is also the number of cares in the world you'll have as you stroll the beach, eating cookies and speaking French. Oh la la. Walgreens.
$0 copays apply to Tier 1 generic drugs and select plans where Walgreens is a preferred pharmacy.
This message is brought to you by the Egg Harbor Independent Branch Leader at Charles Schwab and Consumer Square Shopping Center. In these uncertain times, no matter what tomorrow holds, Schwab remains invested in investors, in optimism, in guidance, in service, in your tomorrow. So whatever happens today, Schwab remains invested in your tomorrow. Call the Egg Harbor Independent Branch at 609-910-4807 or learn more at schwab.com/Egg Harbor on how Schwab is ready to help.
This is Sports Bash Saturday with Josh Hennig, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Here's Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, we are live here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. All you got to do is tune in to 97.3 ESPN, and you can watch the show wherever you are. Also, we are live on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea City. Joining us right now, live in the virtual flesh, the one and only Reid Fowler from DraftKings. He joins us right now on the Boardwalk Hotline. Reid, good to see you virtually. How you doing?
How's it going, Josh? Yeah, we usually talk just over the phone. This is a good face-to-face in this day and age, right? Is on Zoom, on StreamYard, on one of these services.
Yeah, it's wild. And you got to think, if it wasn't for the pandemic, how much of this stuff would have actually happened, right? I mean, I feel like almost everyone has a camera and a microphone now.
Yeah, camera, microphone, a ring light. What else is there? I mean, everyone has their own production studio. So I'm glad that I got in before the craze to make sure that I wasn't just a follower. Maybe I was a trendsetter. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe you set the groundwork, because I remember how many times did you jump on a Good Morning Football virtually as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, just yesterday. That was fun. Breaking down some of the contests that we have on DraftKings, looking at Kay Adams, looking at her lineup. She went a little contrarian, obviously, with going heavy on the Buck side. So I don't mind it, but she's got to have Rojo go off. And that's something that we'll see, remains to be seen.
Well, before we get into the other details, let's hit on some of those DraftKings promotions, because obviously you got the pools, for example, the fourth quarter pool, which is free. I know. Obviously, you have the $20 buy-in for the full game pool. You have the odds boost, all kinds of crazy options there on DraftKings.
Yeah, exactly. Our biggest contest right now is at $55 million prediction challenge, where you make predictions in the fourth quarter. You don't have to make it before the game starts. You just have to make it before the fourth quarter. And you have a chance to win $1 million. But in total prizes, there's instant prizes ranging up from or up to $25,000. So we're looking at this game saying we want to put our best foot forward. Obviously, there's a Millie Maker. There's those other contests down in the lobby that if you don't want to go with the other 300,000 so far in that contest to win that Millie, there's other contests as well. Upwards of $15 million of total prize money. So we're rolling out all the stops here for the big game.
Of course, again, that's DraftKings Sportsbook. Reid Fowler joining us here on the Boardwalk Hotline and live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can watch the show here on 97.3 ESPN. Let's get into the details of the game, because one of my favorite things about this game is I hear everyone, I mean, listen, you can turn on any channel at this point. Everyone's got Brady, Mahomes, but I kind of don't care about that. To me, this comes down to the coaches, because to me, this is Bieniemy versus Bowles. This is Leftwich versus Spagnuolo. To me, I think these coaches are going to have a huge impact on the outcome of this game.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Bruce Arians, Andy Reid. Arians has been around. If he wins, I believe he'll be the oldest coach to win a Super Bowl. So you take that into consideration. And even if he isn't, right, he's been around the block for a little bit, been with a couple of different teams. And so to get this chance, you start to figure, how many do you have left? And he's got, when he didn't have Brady, it was a struggle a little bit. And now he has Brady and all the weapons that Tampa Bay does have. But you're right. And to your point, Josh, if we take away the quarterback play and that competition, that matchup, I'm looking at the trenches, right? The defensive line, Tampa Bay, Kansas City's offensive line, we know they're down a couple of key players on that offensive line. How do they adjust? Can they use the last 2 weeks to really be a cohesive unit? Because if who are you going to double on that team? You got Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea is back. I'm sure he's not 100%, but he's better than what he was before. And then you got JPP and Barrett on the edges, not to mention these very fast and quick linebackers that when you're Todd Bowles, you love to blitz. So that's going to be something that I'm keeping my eye on as well.
Do you buy into this whole Steve Spagnuolo has Tom Brady figured out stuff? Because I've heard that a lot this week as well, that, Spagnuolo's got the formula. Spagnuolo's got the magic key to Tom Brady. Do you buy into any of that?
No, I don't. And look, yes, there's some credence to it, right? Because Spagnuolo has done well against Brady in the past. But it's the same as if we have things, Josh, we had things figured out potentially, quote unquote, right, in our lives before 2020. And look what happens, right? So, and that's not to say that, I'm comparing the pandemic to Tom Brady and what he can do to a defense. But at the same time, you take a look at these things change from year to year. I mean, 2 years ago, we didn't have Lamar Jackson, right? And look at now the proliferation you were just talking about, Jalen Hurts. We have these quarterbacks now that are changing the entire landscape of football. And so the D coordinators, they also have to change. Brady has, since week 6, if we take away week 9, he's got multiple game touchdowns in each game. And so you start to take a look at that and say, well, what is he doing differently this year? Or what is he doing the same? I mean, the guy is he's a master at preparation. So, I mean, if Spagnuolo thinks that he hasn't figured out that he's in for a long day, a long night on Sunday, no one's got Tom Brady figured out.
What do you think is the biggest key for the Bucs to make sure that they can win this game, considering the fact that, listen, the Chiefs, they do like the blitz as well. We know that, Antonio Brown didn't play in the championship game. He's had 2 weeks to get better, right? We know that Gronk and Brady have been here multiple times before, but really nobody else has outside of Brady and Gronk. So what are some of your keys for the Bucs to actually win this game, since they are a 3.5-point underdog right now?
Yeah, I think it was Levante David. I was watching an interview that he had with Patrick Peterson's podcast, and Brady mentioned, right? Did you see that clip?
Yeah, he turned around and said, some guy was crying in the locker room.
Right.
Tom Brady told him to, bleep, get the bleep up, and get over it. We got one more game to play.
We're not done. And I think that's a microcosm of what Tampa Bay has to do. They've arrived, but they're not done yet. And what they have to do, in my mind, is they got to score 40 points, like upwards of in the high 30s or 40s. If they try to throttle back and, really rest on their laurels of their defense, which they have in the beginning of the season when they had a healthy unit, then I think that's a fool's errand against Patrick Mahomes, even down a few offensive linemen. You've seen what he's done against strong, fast, blitzing teams like a New Orleans, like Tampa Bay in Week 12. Granted, they didn't have their full defensive unit, but still, we know what Patrick Mahomes can do and this offense can do in a second, right? It's like you could be up, and we saw this last year at the Super Bowl. We saw it last year in the playoffs with Kansas City. You can be up by 4 touchdowns against this team, and in a split second, they can be within 1 score. So what they have to do is they have to score 40, in my opinion.
Reid Fowler joining us here on the Boardwalk Kind of Hotline on 97.3 ESPN. You can follow him on Twitter at Reid T. Fowler, NFL analyst and PGA analyst for DraftKings. Of course, joining us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at 973 ESPN, streaming the show here on Sports Bash Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. Now, with the Chiefs, one of the things I'm curious about, Reid, is I want to know exactly, because we know Todd Bowles loves the blitz, and we know he's got some talented guys out there, but we also know that secondary is a little susceptible for the Bucs. So for the Bucs, to me, I don't know how they're going to stop Kelsey and Hill and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and try to make sure Mahomes doesn't have, 5 years to run around back there, because we know he's mobile as well, even though you don't always give him credit for it. So what is for you with the Chiefs the biggest thing that you're looking at and saying, listen, if that guy goes off, this game is over.
Yeah, that's Travis Kelce. I think if he's, especially up the middle, right? Like every defense to an extent is susceptible in between the numbers. And when you look at both teams, I would argue, right? Even Kansas City, their defense is playing extremely well, but they are susceptible up the middle when it comes to pass catching. So I think Gronk's got a chance to have a decent game. Cameron Brate, Chris Godwin, I think have chances to have a big game. But if you're Kansas City, if Travis Kelce goes off like he has been, right, he is the biggest mismatch. I get Tyreek Hill has transcendent speed, and he is like a sort of a once in a generational type of player in terms of what he's done so far for the game and how other teams are trying to copy what Kansas City has done with Tyreek Hill. But Travis Kelce is a guy that is unguardable, right? You put a smaller, faster guy on him, he just posts up and he gets 10 catches for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. And you put a bigger guy like a linebacker to box up on him. He's running past them every single time. I get what the idea that people are saying that he has to potentially stay in and chip these defensive ends because of the offensive line. But if this guy gets going, I think that Tampa Bay is going to have a hard time trying to get back. Like Tyreek Hill is like, he's the guy that takes the top off the defense. If he does what he did in week 12, where he goes for, close to 300 yards receiving, then yeah, of course. But consistently, Travis Kelce has been that guy. We've seen Tyreek Hill not necessarily have big production and Kansas City still win.
What are your thoughts on how this has swung, though, at the sports books? Because for the viewers and for the bettors right now, early in the week, it was heavy Kansas City at all the sports books, actually. It wasn't just DraftKings. It was everybody. Everyone was just pounding KC. But then Thursday or Friday, there came this swing of people. And I've been reading that there's a contingent of people who have been betting Tampa heavy at the books the entire postseason. And now it's closer like 52%, 48% Kansas City. So it seems like, the money is really flying a different way here.
Yeah, if you got the hook at plus 3.5, that's probably where you're seeing those numbers swing, right? Tampa Bay getting that hook at 3.5, I think is huge. Like half points aren't treated the same, right? If it's a half point at 9.5, 10.5, 11.5, doesn't really matter. But 3.5, that's a big difference. And so I think you're seeing that swing going back and forth. And look, the line in week 12, Josh, was around this number. And the sports books, they want action, right? DraftKings as well, right? Every sports book wants action. And if you got Kansas City laying 4.5, 5 points, which truly what it should be, right? When you talk about Kansas City and what they're doing, you're not going to get a ton of action to get 50%. You're looking right now on DK Sportsbook, the handle for Kansas City is at 52%, and for Tampa Bay is at 48%. But the number of bets, that's where you see 69% of the bets are coming in on Kansas City, 31 for Tampa Bay. So you're seeing the big money come in on Tampa Bay, getting those points and kind of resting on Tom Brady when he gets points in the regular season or in the playoffs. This guy's unbelievable straight up and ATS.
Reid Fowler joining us here on the Boardwalk kind of hotline here on 97.3 ESPN. Follow him on Twitter at Reid T. Fowler, NFL and PGA analyst here on 97.3 ESPN. You mentioned Jalen Hurts earlier, so I wouldn't be remiss if I didn't touch on with you about the whole Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts, Eagles fiasco, Nick Sirianni, the coach in Philadelphia now. It's a made-for-television soap opera over here. It's interesting. I sit here and complain about Wentz during the season. People are pumping their fists. Yeah, go. And now I'm complaining about Wentz after season. It's like, oh, you need to shut up. It's like, the Eagle fans can't make up their minds over here. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, like, look, Jalen Hurts, he showed us a lot, right, in those few games. And in this day and age, it doesn't take a lot to show us a lot, right? We see the upside. You and I in this industry where we're looking at projections, we're speculating to see how well a guy can do, ceiling, floor, median, what have you. But when you take a look at what they have to do, like the Philadelphia Eagles have to do what the Los Angeles Rams did, right, with Jared Goff to an extent, right? I would argue Goff, not necessarily apples to apples, but Goff and Wentz have sort of the same type of situation, Philadelphia and the Los Angeles Rams, when Goff was still the quarterback there. That's the one thing that I think Philly fans and you guys out there have to figure out is, what are you willing to give up, right? You have a young team right now. You're going to have to give up something, whether it is equity in the draft, whether it is players on the defensive side that have been, tenets of that defense if you want to release a guy like Carson Wentz and start healthy and start anew with Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts objectively has more upside, but I also think Carson Wentz isn't the worst alternative, right? There are bad quarterbacks, backup quarterbacks out there that aren't Carson Wentz or Jalen Hurts, whoever you're going to start if you're Philadelphia. So if you want to lay off that contract, you're going to have to find someone that was like Detroit, which those teams out there, they're few and far between if you want to do away with Wentz, or you might be dealing with the same problem next season.
What do you think about the fact that the reports are that the Colts and the Bears are among at least 5 teams who have called the Eagles about, according to some reports, there's aggressive offers, whatever aggressive offers means. But
yeah, the news cycle, right, Josh? After Sunday, we got to pump the news cycle with something, right? Aggressive. And look, this is the same thing with Jared Goff and what the Rams did. The Rams probably put it out there in the ether and said, we don't know who our quarterback's going to be next year, right? Because the agent came back and said, hey, look, this is potentially not working out. Like, we want to know that he's a starting quarterback because I want to make sure my client has the best equity in the market every single day, every single month and year. And so the Rams said, you know what? Like, we're going to put it out there that we don't know who our starting quarterback is. That's what's happening right now. Right now, it's the agents, it's the teams trying to jockey right now for position. And if that's true, let's just call it if that's true, the Colts, like if you're the Colts, who else are you going to start? Like Jacoby Brissett? Are you going to bring Marcus Mariota? Right? Fine. Stafford, I thought, was a good fit for the Colts, but clearly the Los Angeles Rams beat them to the punch and had a great offer for the Detroit Lions. So I think this is more jockeying for position and a news cycle that you want to make sure, if you're the agent of Carson Wentz, you put it out there to make sure that, all these teams are calling us. All these teams are calling us right now. Make sure you get in your offer before it's too late.
Reid, before I let you go, I got to ask you, who do you think is going to win the actual game tomorrow? I kept it till the end. I let everything get out, put it at the end there. So who do you got tomorrow?
Yeah, not counting the Puppy Bowl, because that's something that, whichever side you're on, you either really like or really don't like. I'm taking Kansas City.
I see there's some pretty good prop bets for the Puppy Bowl.
Right. Please, watch it. It's puppies. What's wrong with puppies? I'm taking Kansas City.
I might actually watch that instead of the halftime show, but that's just me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I got Kansas City for me. Like I mentioned, I think this line should be closer to 4.5, but I see why it's at -3. And I get Tom Brady's on the other side. I get the defense is strong. I get that they have experience at their quarterback and tight end position. But at the same time, this is Kansas City. This is Patrick Mahomes. It's Andy Reid. It's a defense that's playing extremely well at the right time in Kansas City. Pressure rate is top 5 since week 12. If we take away week 17, that's how you at least try to get to Brady. And if that's successful, we saw what he's able to do, which is turn the ball over quite a bit. So give me Kansas City here. I think this goes over, but Kansas City wins.
Of course, Brady did have those 3 interceptions in the NFC Championship game. He is Reid Fowler. Follow him on Twitter at Reid T. Fowler for all your NFL analysis, Super Bowl preview. And, of course, don't forget the PGA Tour. Is Schauffele winning this weekend?
I don't know. He's got the Sunday or the weekend scaries, Josh. When he gets in the lead on the weekend, we see him retract a little bit, a la Ricky Fowler. So, and look, Brooks is chasing. He sees blood in the water right now. He's chasing. He's at -8. So if he comes out and he shoots a 65 again or a 64, I'd be very worried if I were the X-Man, because Brooks, you don't want to see that guy chasing you.
See how prepared this man is. I throw a random PGA Tour question about the tournament this weekend. He's ready for it. He is Reid T. Fowler. Again, Reid T. Fowler on Twitter. Joined us from DraftKings here on 97.3 ESPN. Reid, appreciate you jumping on the video, man.
All right, Josh, take care. Good luck.
JoshHennig here on Sports Bash Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, we are live in the Matt Black Kia studios on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, Matt Black Kia wants to get you approved today. It's Matt Black Kia in the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township. About 1:20, we'll be joined by Paul Hudrick, our Sixers insider. We'll get more with him into what's going on with the Sixers tonight. Of course, as people know, I am picking the Chiefs as well to win the game tomorrow. I'm with Reid in the fact that I don't know if Tom Brady can beat the Chiefs. To me, this is less about Brady and Mahomes. This is about Brady versus the Chiefs defense. And I really, really like that Chiefs defense versus that Bucs offense, because if Brady threw 3 interceptions versus the Packers defense, how is it going to be better than that against the Chiefs defense? But that's just my perspective. Here on 97.3 ESPN FM. We'll get back to your text messages next at 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. We got text to get to. Also, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at 973 ESPN, where you can watch the show. You can drop your comments on the stream, and we'll get to them as well coming up next here on 97.3 ESPN FM. I'm Josh Hennig. Follow me on Twitter at JoshHennig. Also, we are live on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City, your home for all your Sixers, Eagles, Flyers, Phillies, and South Jersey high school sports coverage, all on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Again, it's free thanks to First Bank of Seattle City.
Tomorrow, it's Super Bowl 55 as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play the Kansas City Chiefs. This is Kevin Harlan. Join me, Kurt Warner, and the rest of our Westwood One crew. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are looking for back-to-back titles. Tom Brady, in his record 10th Super Bowl, leads the Buccaneers. If it's Super Bowl 55, it's right here.
Exclusively on 97.3 ESPN FM, South Jersey's home for Super Bowl 55. Coverage begins at 3 p.m.
This month, let me offer you some presidential advice. Leave your dollar in your wallet when you get 0% APR financing from Matt Blatt Kia.
Matt Blatt Kia wants to get you out of that old car you hate. Come in today or visit us online and get the credit you deserve. 0% APR financing available for up to 60 months on new 2021 Kia Sportage, K5, and Forte models. Or take $4,000 off MSRP on new 2020 Kia Niros in stock. Plus, Matt Blatt Kia in Toms River and Egg Harbor Township wants your trade, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Don't forget, you can't make a mistake with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Offers with approved Tier 1 and 2 credit through Kia Motors Finance. Not all will qualify. 0% based on 1516 per 1,000 borrowed. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details. Expires 3/4/2021. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township. And now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Beachcombing, baking cookies, learning French. Aren't these what you'd rather be doing than thinking about your Medicare prescriptions? Well, Walgreens is here to help you get back to it with convenient refill and pickup options, expert pharmacists to answer all your questions, and Medicare copays as low as $0. Zero. Which is also the number of cares in the world you'll have as you stroll the beach, eating cookies and speaking French. Oh la la. Walgreens.
$0 copays apply to Tier 1 generic drugs and select plans where Walgreens is a preferred pharmacy.
What do you get when you talk to a Dell Technologies advisor? You get someone who understands there's an art to listening.
Sure.
Who's able to hear more than what's being said and can provide tailored small business solutions that make you feel truly heard.
I understand. Let's get started.
For advice on everything from laptops to the cloud and solutions powered by Intel vPro platform, call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL.
Without more licensed workers, Gary's roofing business might hit its ceiling.
Hey, that new contract just got pushed up. We are going to need all hands on deck to make this happen.
Hey, Gary, you booked me on that other job next week.
It's time to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
The COVID-19 vaccine distribution has started, which is why I'm hopeful that a stronger, healthier future is in sight. But we're not there yet. We have to stop the virus from spreading. Take it from me, Dr. Kemi Ali from Henry J. Austin Health Center. Even though it's 2021, my fellow doctors, nurses, EMTs, and all healthcare workers around New Jersey are still fighting this virus on the front lines day and night. And we need you to keep fighting with us. Even though some people have been vaccinated, we all need to keep wearing face masks. Stay safe by staying socially distanced, and go get tested even if you don't have symptoms. Because we all have a role to play in stopping the spread of this virus. So let's do it for each other, New Jersey. Let's do it for us all. Please visit covid19.nj.gov for more information.
What can help you take advantage of today's low mortgage rates and save money? Rocket can. You could save hundreds of dollars every month by refinancing with Rocket Mortgage at today's near historic low rates. If your current rate is over 4%, you could lower your payment by over $150 a month, saving thousands in interest every year. Call us today at 833-8-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Savings are based on Quicken Loans. Internal data. Points and fees may apply. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states and NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Number 3030.
This season's hottest collection is dropping just in time for lunch. Meat Church's new all-white meat Texas tenders, accessorized with butterfly shrimp. Snag your Texas tenders and shrimp meal for just $5. Church's bringing that down-home flavor. Offer valid at participating locations.
This is Sports Bash Saturday with Josh Hennig, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Here's Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig here on Sports Bash Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. Sports Bash Saturday being brought to you by the New Jersey Lottery. You need to match just one number, 1 to 15, to win cash pop from the New Jersey Lottery. The more numbers you play, the better your odds of winning. So pop in and play, because anything can happen in Jersey. Text board is open at 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can watch the show here on 97.3 ESPN. Still to come on the show, Paul Hudrick, our Sixers insider for 97.3 ESPN.com. He'll be joining us at 1:20 to get into what is going on with the Sixers. By the way, the breaking news that came out with the Sixers game tonight, no Kyrie Irving for the game tonight. No Kyrie for the game tonight, so he will not be playing tonight. So no Durant because of COVID protocols. No Kyrie, so it's James Harden and a bunch of dudes versus the Sixers tonight. I mean, talk about a game from going super high profile to just basically being a tire at, needing air. I mean, it's like, when the light turns on in your car, says your tire needs air, and you go out to the tire and you got to put air in it. That's what I feel like this game needs. This game needs some air. Just so frustrating. But not frustrating. We got your text at 609-403-0973. Also, you can comment on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter while you watch the show. Of course, you want to talk about anything, the Eagles, Carson Wentz, the Super Bowl. Again, I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm sticking with that pick. If you want to try to change my mind, you can do so as well at 609-403-0973. Dan from EHC chimes in on the text board and says, again, Philly sports with a dysfunctional athlete. When has that ever happened? Philly is a really tough place to be successful and sustain. Listen, yes, Philly has a history of strange athlete situations, right? How many times have we seen an athlete who doesn't do as well here, but does better somewhere else, or an athlete who was doing well, but he gets run out of town for whatever reason? I mean, we've had some phenomenal talent in the city, but, Charles Barkley never got to an NBA Finals while in Philadelphia. Ron Hextall was amazing early in his career, but he was really the last franchise goalie you had. You went through almost 20 years of no legitimate goaltending in Philadelphia until Carter Hart came along. You have a situation where you had Scott Rowland, you had Kurt Schilling, but they had to go somewhere else to get their World Series championships. You had Allen Iverson, but he was surrounded by George Lynch, Aaron McKee, and Dikembe Mutombo when he got to the NBA Finals. Of course, now we have Ben Simmons, Carson Wentz, and don't forget about the Phillies. I mean, the Phillies now, they're going to be an interesting situation because, okay, you re-signed Realmuto, you re-signed Gregorius, you try to bolster the bullpen, the pitching staff a little bit, but you still have these strange enigmas like Rhys Hoskins and Alec Boehm and Hector Neris. So, listen, yes, it is part of Philadelphia sports history to have these athletes with tons of question marks. I don't know if it's fair to label Wentz as a dysfunctional athlete. I think the problem with Wentz is, Wentz's problem is psychological. I think that Wentz was ill-equipped and ill-prepared and the environment around him, his people, his supporting staff, his agent, his people he depends on, his coaches outside the Eagles, his family. I don't think those people are helping him or preparing him for what he needs, because what Wentz needs is, first of all, a gut check. Carson Wentz needs somebody to sit him down who he trusts to tell him, Carson, your mechanics are bad. Carson, you're making bad decisions on the field. Carson, do you understand that you lost your team by yourself at least 3 games this year? Somebody who he trusts needs to get in his ear and not just be a yes man. There's too many times where athletes and people in different types of life, doesn't matter if it's sports, politics, business, whatever industry or high profile position it may be, there's a lot of times people are surrounded by yes men, because those yes men, those people who just tell them, yes, you're great, yes, you're wonderful, they're holding the person back. So I don't know if Wentz is fully dysfunctional, but I think that his mental makeup leaves a lot to be desired. 609-403-0973. And on the text board again, that was Dan and EHT. We got another texter chiming in, and he says, what's the point of Wentz saying anything at this point? It's clear he doesn't want to be here. It's clear he will be traded. He'll thank Philly on the way out and move on to his next team. Well, you're right. At this point, it's pointless for him to say anything. Yes, I agree with that. But to me, it's a huge negative that he basically went a month without saying anything until he made that the tweet about Rodney McLeod and Man of the Year. For it to be 2021 and an athlete to be that disconnected from social media and to be this quiet, it's a little concerning, because it has to make you wonder, I mean, is he, what's going on with him? Is he really that thin-skinned? Is he really that soft that he can't take a little criticism if he has his opinion? Deshaun Watson's out there saying, I don't want to be here. Deshaun Watson is confirming Schefter reports on Twitter. Meanwhile, Carson Wentz says nothing. Jalen Hurts is out there speaking to the media and saying all the right things. You got to give the guy credit. Jalen Hurts is out there, giving the right things to say. I'm not saying Wentz has to go out there and be like, I hate this place. No, but you could be a point where you say, listen, here's how I feel. This was going on. Carson, can we hear your side of the story? How about that? Wouldn't you want to know Carson Wentz's side of the story? We all want to watch like 30 for 30 films, documentaries. We want the inside scoop, as they called it back in the day, right? That was that show about what was going on in Hollywood. Inside Scoop. No, Inside Edition. Yeah, Inside Edition was about the inside scoop in Hollywood. We all want the background of what's going on with people. But yet Carson Wentz is completely silent. It's just a little strange. Yes, at this point, it's useless. But to be this quiet for this long, just saying. Also, the text board, text says, truth, Josh, good point. Jalen Hurts breathing down his neck, too. Listen, man, I think the Jalen Hurts thing is a huge part of this. The Eagles didn't draft Jalen Hurts because they didn't like him. They drafted him for a reason. Howie Roseman said it himself, that he looks at Jalen Hurts, and they knew they had to draft this guy. And if you listen to Joe Banner on the Inside the Bears podcast, he pointed to that Howie Roseman was in the Eagles organization when they missed on Russell Wilson. When they missed on Russell Wilson, I think that was a huge part of this whole situation. And I think that for better or for worse, the Eagles did not want to pass on another quarterback that they could have had. They could have had, they could have gotten their hands on. And I think that is a part of this whole conversation. See if I can grab that. It was Howie Roseman. He spoke to John Clark of NBC Sports Philadelphia. Now let's see if I can actually make this work. I'm trying to do something on the video stream. Let's see if I can make it work. All right. All right, there we go. All right. This was Howie Roseman to John Clark of NBC Sports Philadelphia.
You know what, John? I don't know that I told this story. I'm going to tell it to you. In 2012, we had a vision. we had a vision that we would draft a quarterback who's been extremely successful, and I don't want tampering charges on me, but I think we can understand who that was, and then come back in the 4th round and draft another quarterback who won a world championship for us, and go back to back. And I feel like we got a little cute. And I don't know that there's a big difference between taking the 53rd pick in the draft and taking a pick in the 3rd round if you feel strongly about a guy. Well, you know what, John? I don't know that I told this story.
So that was Howie Roseman. That was Howie Roseman himself telling you why they drafted Jalen Hurts. And he pointed to the whole Russell Wilson situation. They could have had Russell Wilson. They didn't get Russell Wilson. And if that's what you think of Jalen Hurts, if you look at Jalen Hurts and you say this guy is that legitimate, this guy is that big a deal, then Jalen Hurts is not just breathing down Wentz's neck. He is the next guy. That's from Howie Roseman's own mouth. That was Howie Roseman himself saying what they thought of Jalen Hurts. They thought that highly of him, and without saying his name, they were talking about the Russell Wilson situation. The Eagles wanted Russell Wilson. They did not pick him when they should have, and they missed out. So, if that's what they think of Jalen Hurts, that he is that potential caliber of quarterback, then Jalen Hurts is not just breathing down Carson Wentz's throat, as the texter said. Jalen Hurts is the future potentially of this organization. Now, what he'll do with that future, only time will tell. Sports Bash Saturday here on 97.3 ESPN. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. And we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can watch the show, 97.3 ESPN.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, brought to you by Angelic Health Telehealth.
High blood pressure or hypertension is very common and something many Americans have to keep an eye on. In fact, you could have high blood pressure and not even know it. After all, there's a reason it is known as the silent killer. It can put unwanted stress on your heart and can lead to serious health problems such as heart attack, kidney disease, sexual dysfunction, and stroke. Your blood pressure consists of 2 numbers, and these numbers may fluctuate during the day depending on your activities. But new guidelines from the American Heart Association actually lower the threshold that's considered too high. This new definition will result in nearly half of the U.S. adult population having high blood pressure, with the greatest impact among younger people. Take control of these numbers by decreasing sodium, cutting out smoking, and increasing physical activity. In some cases, medication may also help.
Brought to you by Angelic Telehealth. They're by your side. Visit angelic.health today.
It's a new year and an all-new Matt Blatt Nissan. Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township next to Home Depot. Help us celebrate when you get out of that old car, truck, or SUV and into a brand new Nissan. 2020 Nissan Kicks. $4,000 off MSRP on in-stock units, or get 0% APR financing for 60 months on new in-stock Nissan Kicks, Sentra, or Ultima models. Plus, Matt Blatt Nissan has fast-track checkout available online at mattblattnissan.com. Our non-touch delivery and electronic paperwork ensures your safety comes first. We want to help with your credit approval today so you can drive a new Nissan with 0% APR financing. Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township, or online at mattblattnissan.com. Unapproved credit. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle. All factory rebates and incentives to dealer. 0% APR financing based on 1516 for 1,000 borrowed. Offers can't be combined. Call 888-731-5030 for all the details. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Trust Jenkins Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Homeowners, no need to call the drain guy, the heater guy, or the plumbing guy. Call Jenkins. One call does it all. Jenkins technicians are trained to do it all, so you only have to call one number, 609-641-6262. Jenkins & Sons has been on the job since 1949. For new heating and air installation, service and maintenance, ductless air conditioning systems, water heaters, boilers, oil service, plumbing, and drain cleaning services, one call does it all. Call 609-641-6262 or visit jenkinsandsons.com. That's 609-641-6262 or jenkinsandsons.com.
Jenkins Plumbing and Heating. We're always here for you. Jenkins Plumbing and Heating. We're always here for you. Jenkins Plumbing and Heating. We're always here for you.
Recently, Total Wireless helped Charlie Michelle stage a virtual dance recital for her friends and family.
This event was super meaningful to them.
Because when you move to Total Wireless, you can get amazing devices on nationwide 5G. And with unlimited plans starting at $25 a month, you could save up to $1,200 a year.
Thank you, Total Wireless, for helping me pull this off.
Total Wireless. Do amazing. Compatible 5G device required. 5G network in limited areas. Month equals 30 days. Savings claim made when compared to 4-line postpaid plans of leading carriers 10-2020. See terms and conditions at totalwireless.com.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The radio home of the 76ers.
Into the lane, reverse windmill jam. Are you kidding me?
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. This is Sports Bash Saturday with Josh Hennig, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Now, Sports Bash Saturday. Here's Josh Hennig.
Second hour of Sports Bash Saturday, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Of course, 97.3 ESPN mobile app as well. Josh Hennig live in the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Matt Blatt Kia, located on Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township. They want to get you approved today. That's Matt Blatt Kia and mattblattkia.com. Still to come, about 20 minutes from now, we'll be joined by Paul Hudrick, our 97.3 ESPN.com Sixers insider, to get into what is going on with this Sixers game tonight. What is going on with the Sixers? I mean, there's no Kyrie, no Durant tonight. I mean, this game is completely lost juice. How is this game being played? What is going on with these NBA protocols? I mean, players are ticked off right now in the NBA. These players are looking around like, what is going on? How is stuff going on here? Some guys don't want to even play the All-Star game. It's a complete mess over there with the with the NBA. So we got a lot of questions to get to with Paul Hudrick coming up in less than 20 minutes from now. Text board is open as well, 609-403-0973. Don't forget, a little bit later in the show, I will give you my FanDuel Sportsbook picks for the night. Of course, we got some UFC fights on tonight. We have NBA on tonight. A lot going on in the sports. And of course, you know, the Super Bowl is tomorrow. Speaking of the Super Bowl, don't forget, my friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook, use my promo code Radio10. Check out for 10% off. Sorry, I'm 10% off. 10% off is weightliftinghq.com. Now, use my promo code HENNIG at FanDuel Sportsbook for 55-1 odds on the Super Bowl. That's right. If you want to take $5 and turn it into $275, you can do it with FanDuel Sportsbook. Use my promo code HENNIG on FanDuel Sportsbook if you think the Chiefs or the Bucks are going to win the game tomorrow with FanDuel Sportsbook. You can do that. 55-1 odds, but use my promo code HENNIG at FanDuel Sportsbook. Again, it must be 21 in order to play. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. I did want to get into as well, with this game coming up tomorrow, how this game completely changes how we view all of these people going forward. And we'll get to more of the Sixers in just a bit. As I mentioned, I'll give you my UFC picks a little bit later this hour. But one of the problems with this game tomorrow is it's the final game of the football season. And it's so exciting, but it's so like, wow, what's next? And part of what's next is the winner of this game tomorrow is going to redefine how we look at the league next season. If Patrick Mahomes gets another championship, if Andy Reid gets another Super Bowl, if the Chiefs walk out of there, as I think, with the Lombardi Trophy, that's going to say a lot about how we view the Chiefs moving forward, because they're going to be viewed as, is this a potential dynasty in the making? You know, is this the 90s Cowboys? Is this the Steelers of the 1970s? Is this the Patriots of the early 2000s? Like, where do they fall in the pantheon of great teams? But on the flip side, if Tom Brady wins and the Bucks win, what does this say about Brady and his legacy, not just in the NFL, but in all of sports? What does this say about Bruce Arians as a head coach? What does this say about a lot of the players who are on the Bucs, who there's a lot of questions about them. Antonio Brown, there's been a lot of questions about him as a player, as an athlete, as a teammate. There's been a lot of questions about the Bucs. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, you spent all this draft capital on these wide receivers and these tight ends like Cameron Brate, for example. You spent all these resources on some of these bigger name defensive players like JPP. You drafted Vita Vea. You drafted Antoine Winfield Jr. You have Levante David. For the Bucs, this is an opportunity for their whole franchise to validate all the time, money, and resources they have spent on all of these players. And for the Bucs, don't forget, this is only the second time they've ever been in a Super Bowl. And they're doing it on their home field. See, there are 2 times in NFL history where teams have had a home game in their home market. There have been times in Super Bowl history that teams have actually been in a situation where they have played in front of what we would be considered their home fans. Don't forget, the Rams lost to the Steelers at the Rose Bowl, and the 49ers beat the Dolphins at Stanford Stadium, which is 30 miles away from Candlestick Park. But this is different. The Bucs are literally in their house. The old Under Armour, you protect this house, right? That's what we're looking at. This is completely different. This is something that we have never seen before. Ever, ever, ever. So when you think about it, you have had teams play in their home market, but they've never played in their home stadium. If the Bucs lose in their home stadium, what does that say about the team, the organization, the franchise? We know Brady's coming back, but could this be Brady's best shot at winning? Does Brady regress from here? Does the Bucs lose a lot of guys to free agency? We know the salary cap is supposed to be not going up next year. How does that impact the Bucs? So if you lose at home, in your own home confines, you've been comfortable all week. You don't have to fly, you don't have to travel anywhere. You are literally playing in the stadium you played already 8 games this year. And you lose that game, what does that say about the Tampa Bay Bucs franchise, coaching staff, organization next year? Do we look at them and say, hey, great team, but they can't win the big one? They couldn't do it at their own house. They had a home game in the Super Bowl, supposed to be a neutral site. That Rams team that lost to the Steelers after the 79 season, that was Vince Ferragamo, by the way, who was the quarterback. You think about what happened to the 1979 Rams after they lost that Super Bowl. Because they were literally in Los Angeles area. They were in Pasadena. And yet that arena was filled with so many Steeler fans. After the Rams lost that Super Bowl, they had another winning season. They lost in the wild card. Then they missed the playoffs for 2 straight years. And they had up and down the rest of the 1980s. Thanks to Eric Dickerson, they were able to revitalize the franchise a little bit. Thanks to Eric Dickerson coming in there. But they went through a down period. Could we possibly see the same thing from the Bucs? The Bucs lose their home stadium. Could they have a situation where they have one more good year and they become a losing franchise all over again? It's very possible. I don't know how long Tom Brady is going to play. I don't know how long Brady is going to want to keep doing this. He says he wants to play to 45, but is he going to be a Bucs uniform until he's 45? Are we sure that he doesn't eventually end up in San Francisco playing for his hometown team at some point before the end of his career? Look at Brett Favre. Brett Favre, after he left the Packers, he went to the Jets for that 1 year because the Packers would not let him go to the Vikings. And then after the Jets year, he went to the Vikings anyway. So a Hall of Fame quarterback played with 2 different teams, but yet we identify him with the Packers his entire career. Does Brady end up on another team because things maybe go sideways? Does Bruce Arians retire if he wins or loses the Super Bowl? How does that impact situation? I mean, there's so many questions if the Bucs lose this game, but the Chiefs win the game. I'm telling you, we have to all change how we view Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and that Chiefs organization. The Kansas City Chiefs, for what people may not remember, had a lull of just nothingness in their history. Kansas City Chiefs really have had 3 arcs of success in their franchise. There was the Super Bowl era early on with Hank Stram and Len Dawson from 1966 to about 1971. They were a winning franchise and they won a Super Bowl. They lost another one, got to the playoffs a couple times. They had all those they had 7 Hall of Famers on that team that won the Super Bowl 4. But from 1972 all the way to 1989, they were in the postseason one time. One time. Then you had the Marty Schottenheimer years. Marty Ball came to Kansas City. Yeah. From 1990 to 1998 under Marty Schottenheimer, the Chiefs went to the playoffs every year but 2. So 2 out of 9 years they weren't in the postseason. And those 2 years, they were 7-9 and 9-7. And they brought in some guy named Montana. You might have heard of him. To play quarterback. Got them to a conference championship game. They tried to have some success. And then when Schottenheimer left, they fell apart. They had a tiny bit of success with Dick Vermeil. They had a tiny bit of success with Herm Edwards. But neither one of those coaches was really able to resuscitate the franchise the way that they had hoped. Vermeil had a couple winning seasons, but you could tell that the talent he was working with it just wasn't the same. So it wasn't until Andy Reid got there that the franchise became this winning franchise again. And don't forget, Andy Reid's first 2 years, they didn't have a lot of success. It wasn't until that they really reformulated that roster they started having some legitimate success. And they were fortunate enough to trade up and get Patrick Mahomes. And the rest is history. So for the Chiefs franchise, this is not just about Andy Reid. This is about legacy. This is about changing how the world perceives you. The Chiefs are not viewed in the way that other historic NFL organizations are viewed. For a franchise that was in 2 of the first 4 Super Bowls, we don't look at them the way we look at the Cowboys or the Packers or the Steelers or the 49ers because of their run in the 80s and 90s. We don't look at the Chiefs the same way because they don't have the same level of success and pedigree. The entire perception of the Chiefs can change. Their organization, Andy Reid, everything is different because now you're not just a team that won a Super Bowl 50 years apart. No, you're a franchise that's got 3 rings. You got 3 trophies out of 4 appearances. That's a huge difference. That's a huge change of perception. History can be made tomorrow no matter what. You're either going to have a Bucs franchise that is going to change the entire dynamic and resume for all the players in the roster, or you're going to have a franchise and a head coach who are going to be completely changed. Because winning one Super Bowl is one thing. But when you win multiple Super Bowls with a head coach, think about it. How many head coaches have won multiple Super Bowls? It's not many. Bill Belichick, we all know about him. Jimmy Johnson. Bill Cowher didn't do it. Pete Carroll hasn't done it. John Harbaugh hasn't done it. Sean Payton certainly hasn't done it. John Gruden was 1 and done. That was it. He went to the 1. That was it. Andy Reid right now is 1-1 in the Super Bowl. Think about all the coaches who have won 1. There's a lot of them. There's only a handful of guys who ever won 2. It's guys like Belichick and Jimmy Johnson and Joe Gibbs. It's guys like Mike Shanahan with the Broncos at back-to-back championships. It's guys like Chuck Noll. It's guys like that. It's Bill Walsh. It's the cream of the crop. It's the best of the best. And if Andy Reid wins Super Bowl tomorrow night, he's in that category. You change everything you view about him. You change everything that you think about him. His resume is altered from being one of the best coaches in the NFL right now to potentially, where does he rank all time? So I'm not just looking for the Super Bowl tomorrow because the Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to the Super Bowl because history is going to be made tomorrow. Brady, Arians, Reid, Mahomes, the Chiefs, the Bucks, the NFL will never be the same after tomorrow. 609-403-0973 is the text board. 609-403-0973. We get a couple texts in here before we hit the break. We got Nick from Brigantine. Nick, I'm trying to pull up your text, but my computer is not cooperating, so I'll read it in just a moment here. There we go. All right. See, I try to post the text here on the stream while we talk about stuff, but there we go. Nick from Brigantine says, Josh, tomorrow's game should be pretty even the way I look at it. It is Kansas City has more experience in the Super Bowl than Tampa. That's why I picked Kansas City. It's Nick from Brigantine. I think the experience has a lot to do with this. I forget that the majority of the Bucs roster does not have Super Bowl experience, while almost the entire Kansas City team is back this year from last year's team. So that is a big deal, Nick. You are right. I think that it's more than just the advantage of having the experience in the game. It's the experience of understanding what it takes to prepare. You know, I talked with Ian Fitzsimmons of ESPN Radio earlier this week, and he was telling me about the fact that, you know, when you look at what goes into coaches preparing for a big game, one thing to prepare for a regular season game, it's another thing to prepare for the Super Bowl. And he has a brother that worked in the NFL for a while, does Ian Fitzsimmons. He told me, he's like, listen, when you see what your own family member goes through to prepare for a big game in the NFL, it changes everything. Okay, one more text in here at 609-403-0973. Texter says, there's no home field advantage with a full stadium. I disagree. If you watch those Kansas City Chiefs games, those last two games, it was obvious the fans made a difference. That Packers game, the divisional round, it was obvious the fans in Green Bay made a difference. You don't need a full stadium for home field advantage because you went for so long this season without any fans in the stands that any fans can make a difference. Now, I don't know what the field is going to look like tomorrow. Is that going to be mostly Buck fans? Is that in that 22,000 fans are going to be there? Is that going to be mostly Chief fans? We don't know yet. When we see it, I mentioned the Rams game. When the Rams lost to the Steelers in Pasadena, that was mostly Steeler fans that flooded that stadium. But when it was Stanford University hosting the 49ers versus Dolphins, that was mostly 49er fans. So home field advantage, it's legitimate. Doesn't have to be a full stadium, though. All right, we'll get to more of your text a little bit later in the hour, but coming up next, Paul Hudrick, our Sixers insider, join me here on 97.3 ESPN. What on earth is going with the Sixers game tonight? How is this game being played? NBA protocols. We got a lot of questions. The man with all the answers is Paul Hudrick next here on Sports Bash Saturday on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City and live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can watch the show 97.3 ESPN on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter live in the Matt Black Kia Studios. I'm Josh Hennig. We'll back with more next.
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Throws up a prayer, and it goes. A high-arcing desperation shot. Rainbow jumper is good.
The Sixers host the Brooklyn Nets tomorrow. Coverage begins at 8 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
This month, let me offer you some presidential advice. Leave me, your dollar in your wallet when you get 0% APR financing from Matt Black Kia.
Matt Blatt Kia wants to get you out of that old car you hate. Come in today or visit us online and get the credit you deserve. 0% APR financing available for up to 60 months on new 2021 Kia Sportage, K5, and Forte models. Or take $4,000 off MSRP on new 2020 Kia Niros in stock. Plus, Matt Blatt Kia in Toms River and Egg Harbor Township wants your trade, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Don't forget, you can't make a mistake with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Offers with approved Tier 1 and 2 credit through Kia Motors Finance. Not all will qualify. 0% based on 1516 per 1,000 borrowed. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details. Expires 3/4/2021. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township. And now on Route 37 in Toms River.
What does Schwab's modern approach to wealth management really mean? For starters, it means delivering personal solutions for your financial goals, not ours. It means empowering investors no matter how little or how much they have. And it means providing great service. If you're not satisfied for any reason, we'll refund your eligible fee and work with you to make things right. Guaranteed. Visit schwab.com/Egg Harbor. Compare us to learn more or call the Egg Harbor Independent Branch at 609-910-4807.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 5510 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 5510. Enjoy.
Babe, look, cash pop from the New Jersey Lottery. We just got to match one number, 1 through 15, to win.
Whoa, so easy.
Our anniversary date? September
6th?
14th.
Not to interrupt you guys, but the more numbers you play, the better your odds of winning.
Well, the 6th was our first date anniversary.
Aw, let's play both numbers.
With Cash Pop, you could win up to 250 times your wager. So pop in and play. Anything can happen in Jersey. Must be 18 or older to buy a lottery ticket. Please play responsibly. If you or somebody knows a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Heard the good news about COVID-19 vaccines? They're here, but you can do more than wait for your turn. Here's how. Stay at least 6 feet away from folks you don't live with. And it's risky to be indoors with them too. And masks? Well, they protect both the person wearing them and the folks around them. Wear a mask, watch your distance, and make a big difference now.
Learn more about vaccines at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
A message from your neighbors and friends at First Bank. We've been serving residents and businesses of Sea Isle City and the surrounding communities for more than 130 years. Today's challenges, while unique, are another opportunity to show our strength and resilience. Our commitment to you remains strong. Whether it's using our drive-through services, bank by phone, the First Bank mobile app, or online banking, we're staying strong with you. Be safe and be secure. First Bank, here for you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is Sports Bash Saturday with Josh Hennig, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Here's Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll get back to your text in just a bit at 609-403-0973. But joining us right now on the Boardwalk kind of hotline, our 97.3 ESPN.com Sixers insider Paul Hudrick joins us here to get into the Sixers because they're back in action tonight. But Paul, this whole situation with the COVID and Durant and the Nets, I feel like people have way more questions than are actually answers to. So hopefully you can try to answer some of them. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right. Hopefully I can, because I probably don't have a lot of answers, but I'll have some.
So I just want to start with the Durant situation. So is there any clarity right now of exactly how he is not available tonight, but they allowed him to play some of the game last night, but he's out due to contact tracing, but the contact tracing didn't affect anybody else. Like, he was around last night. I feel like there's a lot of people who are looking around and saying, NBA, it feels like you're being really inconsistent here.
Yeah, that's the word, is inconsistency. I think, especially when you compare it to like kind of the Sixers situation and the things they've gone through, and you've seen how other teams have been afforded the luxury of having games postponed, where the Sixers didn't have that for a couple games where they probably should have. But with Durant specifically, from what I understand from the reports I've read, is that he was in close contact with someone who potentially had it. So that's why he was held out initially. Then they find out in the game that that person did test positive, so they pulled him. From what I understand, too, today, as of right now, he is questionable for tonight. So there is still a chance he does play. The injury report is going to be coming out any moment now, but it's apparently he's going to be questionable. Kyrie Irving now is out. He has a finger issue, so that is not anything to do with COVID. But they already are down Kyrie Irving. They might be down Kevin Durant. So what seemed like a big matchup might lose a little bit of its luster, but still plenty of exciting stuff to watch and plenty of things going on. James Harden, as far as you know, will play. So that definitely adds to the intrigue and excitement of the game for sure.
Yeah, I compare the situation to, you go out to the car and you see the air light come out on your car for your tires. You got to put some air in the tires. It's like, without Durant or Kyrie, whatever it is, it's almost like someone took some air out of your car tires and you're driving down the road. And it is, listen, you're right. The Hardin situation is interesting, but I just feel like before we get to the specifics of the game tonight, and listen, I thought the NBA did a great job with the bubble. They were ahead of the curve. They were so ahead of everything. But it feels like the NBA is starting to fall into the trap that we saw some of the other sports fall into, which is it almost feels like they're having inconsistent applications. And I think that's the biggest reason, at least to me, why guys like De'Aaron Fox and LeBron are frustrated, because they're like, well, you want us to play in an all-star game, but yet it feels like you're going with these protocols from week to week instead of saying, like, this is the rule. Because let me tell you something, in the NFL, nobody walks on the field if they don't have clarity with a test. And that was the NBA's rule in the bubble. So how did we go from the rules being one way in the bubble to being whatever they are now?
That is definitely the $1 million question, because like you said, they handled it so well with the bubble. I mean, I had my reservations personally about the bubble. I didn't think it was going to work out as well as it did, but it worked out pretty seamlessly. It's unbelievable to me how well that worked. And now to see them just really struggle to handle the situation right now, it's maddening. You compare it to the NFL, it's a little tough because the NFL does have, there's space between games. You get a week between, so that does make it a little bit easier. With the NBA, you're dealing with, literally guys playing on back-to-back nights, which really throws, it really complicates things and really throws some wrenches into some things. So yeah, I mean, I'll just keep going back to that word consistency. It feels like the way they want to do it, like some things they do are good, and then some things it's just head scratching. Like, the idea that they didn't schedule a second half of the season, that was smart, because you knew games were going to get postponed. You knew guys were going to come up with positive tests. You knew it was going to hit teams. So, leaving the second half of your schedule open was a wise way to do it. But then you look at, like you talked about, like with the All-Star game. So now you're going to have a bunch of guys fly in from different cities all over the country to come to one central location. How does that make any sense when you can't even get games done, when you're postponing games because of the spread of this thing? So now you're basically you want to host a super spreader event, and listen, we all know what it's about. It's about money. But it's just I don't blame guys for LeBron and De'Aaron Fox for speaking out, because I get it. You can't, like, they're watching the players on their teams and other players around the league have to miss games, and games being postponed because of this. And now the NBA wants to put on an exhibition game where guys are coming from all over the country. It doesn't make it, other than money, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And to me, part of the reason it doesn't make sense. And listen, I'm not against the All-Star game being played personally. I'm kind of indifferent, honestly. But for me, I look at it like this. And I'm only using this example because it's the only example we really have. The UFC has been having events for the last almost entire calendar year. And they test everybody, they extra test, they triple test, and then they let you into the environment. They let you into the city, whether it's Abu Dhabi or Las Vegas, or even the situation with Jacksonville. There's a way to do this, and there are sports that are doing it. And to me, it's like, all right, there's a way to do this where you say, listen, if everybody's testing negative consistently for X number of days, then you get on the plane, then you get to the city, you're fine. The problem is, like you said, you have people coming from all kinds of cities with different situations, with different scenarios. And to me, that's the bigger problem. I don't see a problem with having an all-star game logistically. My problem is when the NBA turned around and said, well, we didn't want to punish James Harden too much because it's the holiday season. I'm sorry, that's not a great look. You're basically saying that you're changing the rules for people instead of just saying, listen, there's a way that other people have done this and we're just going to do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I still haven't heard I've heard an explanation, but it hasn't been a good one of why the Sixers had to play a Saturday afternoon against the Nuggets with 7 players, really. I mean, they had 8, but Mike Scott literally just dressed so that the team didn't have to force it.
It was a technicality.
So, I mean, and so for that game happened. And listen, yeah, it was fun. Tyrese Maxey scored a lot of points. It was enjoyable, but like, it wasn't a competitive basketball game, really. They never had a chance to win. And look, the Sixers had a nice long home winning streak that got snapped that day. And so like, that's just disappointing on so many levels. Then 2 days later, they had to go to Atlanta. They didn't get the only guy that got back was Joel Embiid, and they're still playing with Dakota Mathias and Isaiah Joe and all those guys. And it's just it's the product. You're hurting the product when you're doing this. And I think the issue with the All-Star game, on top of just that, of just the idea of with testing and guys coming from new places, all that, you're already having LeBron James saying, I don't want to play in it. You're already having De'Aaron Fox saying, how many guys, like Joel Embiid was asked about it. He didn't seem too keen on wanting to play in it either. So then you're going to, so on top of that, you're going to have guys that aren't going to show up. Some of the biggest names in the game aren't going to play. And I guess what? You're going to replace them. So then you're going to dilute that product. So it's just, it just doesn't seem worth it to me. If you can't do it in a safe way and ensure that everyone's going to be 100% healthy and get through it 100% healthy, and it's not going to affect games in the second half, which, I mean, it just seems like a really difficult thing to guarantee at this point, considering what we've seen so far.
Paul Hudrick joining me here on the Portland Kind of Hotline, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Paul Hudrick for all your Sixers and NBA analysis. Let's get deeper into the Sixers now, because I want to get that COVID stuff out of the way at the beginning here, because it's just, I feel like I've seen so many questions I had to ask some of them to you.
Fair enough.
So the game tonight, obviously, I love what Kevin McCormick said on Twitter. He said it's going to be like a Civil War, Captain America, where people are going to be going back and forth about Hardin and Simmons all night. But my question is Ben Simmons going to be guarding Hardin tonight? Because there are times that Simmons is switching on guys. He's not staying on just one guy the entire night. So how often do you think we'll actually see a Simmons on James Harden situation?
I think it has a lot to do with whether or not Kevin Durant plays, because I would imagine if Kevin Durant plays, Ben Simmons is a better matchup with Durant, just because Durant's so big and long. You need a 6'10" guy that can kind of challenge him a little bit. So that's what I would think would happen. I mean, maybe they go Tobias Harris on him. I don't see that happening. I would think it would be Ben Simmons on Durant, in which case you would see Danny Green on James Harden, which isn't ideal, but Danny Green also isn't terrible. He's not a terrible defensive player. So, how much will we see it? I don't know. It is going to hinge big time on the Durant factor. If Durant doesn't play, then I would imagine that Ben Simmons is James Harden's shadow throughout the entire game, and it'll be a really fun matchup to watch. When I in matchups past, it seemed like Ben Simmons did pretty well as anyone could do against Harden, and then as soon as he left the game, Harden just feasted. So I'm really interested to see that. And listen, even if he hit, I get the fan intrigue of that, of wanting to really see that matchup because of the trade rumors and all that. But hey, seeing Ben Simmons against Kevin Durant would also, I almost am more intrigued to see that. I think that would be even more fun, because I don't know anyone, a defender one-on-one that can stop Kevin Durant. So I would be really intrigued to see Ben Simmons up against him for an entire game. I think that would be a hell of a matchup. So, and in any case, Ben Simmons is going to get tested mightily today, and the Sixers defense in general is going to get tested in a big way.
And part of that test is without Kyrie Irving playing tonight. We saw a couple games with Hardin and Durant. Hardin becomes a super ball handler. Like, he goes from being, what we think of James Harden into this crazy mutation of, I'm going to be a super point guard, almost like, taking Chris Paul concepts, taking it to the next level. It's going to be a difficult matchup either way for the Sixers tonight.
Absolutely. And, James Harden, it's almost, I don't want to say a total misconception because the guy does shoot a lot. The guy has the ball a lot, but this is a guy who has led the league in assists before. He's an excellent playmaker. You see him in the pick and roll. Some of the things he does with like the pocket passes he makes and some of the reads he makes. I mean, it's on a different level from like any player in the NBA. And sometimes he doesn't get the credit for that because he's such a prolific scorer and because he does take a lot of shots and because he does get to the free throw line a lot. But yes, I mean, he's more, if it is just James Harden and Kevin Durant, James Harden is more than capable of running the show and getting Brooklyn into the offense and putting up a ton of points. A game that sticks out is one of his first games when they played the Bucks. It was a nationally televised game, and that was he carried them down the stretch. Either scoring or facilitating. He was magnificent down the stretch of that game against a really good Milwaukee team, against a really good defender in Drew Holiday. So it's James Harden is more than just a scorer. He is just a great offensive basketball player. And you put him on the floor with Kevin Durant. You have a shooter like Joe Harris. You have a pick and roll partner like DeAndre Jordan. And yeah, it's even without Kyrie, the Sixers are just, it's going to be a really difficult challenge for them today.
Now, on the flip side, the difficult challenge for the Nets is going to be that MVP candidate, Joel Embiid. What should we expect to see from Joel tonight, considering the fact that he's a little hobbled on Thursday. He's had a day and a change to rest. We know that Joel, when he's focused and motivated, he's incredible. But you could tell on Thursday he was trying not to be overly aggressive and maybe re-aggravate anything.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing where it hurt him was rebounding. You saw Enes Kanter really, and Enes Kanter's a really good rebounder. It's what he does. He's really good on the offensive glass. So, yeah, I do think that's where it affected him more so than maybe the scoring. I think the scoring, I mean, you saw he came out and he just dominated that entire second quarter. And I thought, as weird as it sounded, I thought that hurt the offense a little bit because I think in the second half, it seemed like four guys looking around waiting for Joel Embiid to do something, which is, sometimes that's a great strategy because he is so great. And sometimes you just got to let him cook. But when a team, you saw the adjustment Portland made in that second half where Enes Kanter was picking Joel Embiid up at the foul line and they're aggressively double teaming at every stop. And, that affected the rest of the offense because the rest of the offense wasn't moving. Tobias Harris had, to me, his first kind of off night really in a while. So that really affected the team. So what will we see? I mean, he's still listed as questionable for today. I don't know. I would assume it is like a 50-50 chance he plays today. If he does, DeAndre Jordan is a guy that he has had success against. DeAndre Jordan is a tough defender, but Joel Embiid has played well against him. I would expect more of the same with the double teams and the aggressive play. Teams are catching on to this guy as an MVP favorite and the way he's playing. So I would anticipate, more aggressive double teams as we go on here. And, if Brooklyn's wise, if Steve Nash is wise, I think he's double teaming them and being aggressive from the opening tip.
One question going into tonight's game as well is Seth Curry, because the whole situation, he was not feeling well. They basically pulled him out of the game. I know he's only shot 29% since he came back from the COVID situation. So is there any update on him, and should we actually expect him to play tonight after being pulled from the game on Thursday?
Yeah, he's also listed as questionable. So I imagine it's going to be a situation where they're going to see how he feels. If if he's warming up and he feels good, they'll play him. If he's warming up and he's still feeling, Doc Rivers described him as tired. So if he's still feeling those ill effects and still feeling tired, I imagine they're going to be cautious with it and let him get his, because, I don't want to get too scientific-y because I'm not a doctor and I don't know what's going on. I don't understand everything that goes into everything, but I do understand that COVID-19 can linger in someone. And we also don't know the long-term effects, and it affects everybody differently. So if he's feeling that fatigue and he's feeling that, clearly he's still not 100% from the illness. So, he's maybe more rest might just be the answer. He might just need to just take a little bit more time and get his body right and get his fitness right. And before we see him on the floor. And, to your point, he hasn't, when he has played, he really hasn't been effective. And what's scary to me is, I don't want to say scary. Scary is probably too strong a word, but what worries me a little is that when he has played, he's just looked a little timid. Whereas the first stretch of the season, he looked unbelievable. He was aggressive. He was firing at will. He looked like he had some great chemistry with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, and it just everything seem to really be working, and you just haven't seen that same player come back yet. So that to me, if he doesn't feel right, don't play him. I'm on board with that. Let him get his rest. Let him get his body right. And let's get him back to that version that he was to start the season, because that's the guy that can really help this team and maybe elevate it to a different level.
And you mentioned earlier the fact that, we don't even know what the second half of the schedule looks like yet. So there's no harm in saying, hey, Seth, take a few days off. You don't have to play every single game. We'll figure it out as we go along. We don't have to have him play every single game, because you'd rather have him for the second half of the season fully ready to go than worry about him on February 6th. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. And I'm glad you mentioned the fact that the whole thing about it affects people differently. I mean, I just think immediately to the situation in college basketball with Keontae Johnson. They came back and found out that his situation had nothing to do with COVID. And that guy collapsed on the basketball court, for goodness sake. I mean, that was one of the scariest things we've seen this year, but yet that was not COVID related. So you can literally have someone be dealing with COVID and, like you said, could be lingering their system, or maybe he got sick from something totally else. I mean, there's so many variables that go into this that we don't even know, because the league doesn't have to tell us all the information.
Right. And it's, I'm okay with that from the league standpoint, because let the players, if they want to come out and say that they have it or they're positive or whatever, then let them do it. I would imagine that when the reports came out about Seth Curry, that I think Shams Charania was the first one to have it, or it might have been Woj. I can't remember. Whoever had it first, I would imagine they got that from either the Sixers through Seth or through Seth's agent. One way or another, I'm sure Seth Curry was okay with that information being out there, and that's why it got out there. So yeah, I mean, I'm good with that, with the league kind of keeping it a secret, but at the same time, we don't know. But I guess in a way, Josh, in a weird way, we kind of never know, right? Like when a guy's hurt, do we ever really know how hurt he is? You know what I mean? Like we don't really know how bad Ben Simmons' calf is bothering him. We don't really know how bad Joel Embiid's knee is today, or his back, which is still lingering. Like we don't know. We really can't. We can't ever really tell 100%. Even guys that are to the injury report are, especially as the seasons go on, everybody's kind of dealing with something nagging or something or other. So yeah, just to get back to your original point with Seth, it's just let's just rest them. You have plenty of time left in the season. Right now, you have the best record in the Eastern Conference. Everybody else is dealing with something. You see what the Nets are dealing with. You see what the Heat and Celtics have already gone through. Like every team is going to have to go through something like this throughout the season. So why not be cautious? You're going to need this guy down the stretch. You're going to need him in the playoffs. So, do what you got to do to get him right now. And that goes for anybody. And really this weird in any season, but especially in this weird season that's already shorter, that's already funky, and already having all sorts of weird things go on. It's much better to err on the side of caution.
He's Paul Hudrick. You will be in the house tonight for Sixers versus Nets. You can hear all the action right here on 97.3 ESPN at 8 p.m. Tom McGinnis on the call. You can follow Paul on Twitter at Paul Hudrick. Check out his podcast as well, Coming In for a Landing. And as all guests, he appeared on the Boardwalk kind of hotline. Paul, appreciate the time and the conversation. I feel like we have fleshed out as much as we possibly could today here.
Agreed, Josh. Anytime, man.
JoshHennig here on Sports Bash Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget to listen to Sixers basketball tonight. Of course, we will have Flyers back in action tomorrow at 12 o'clock after Billy Schweim in the locker room here on 97.3 ESPN. So a busy weekend for the Philly sports teams. Great stuff from Paul. Again, follow him on Twitter, Paul Hudrick. Check out all of his work over at 97.3 ESPN.com. One more segment coming up next here on Sports Bash Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. I'll give you my FanDuel Sportsbook picks for the sports weekend. Mix in a little Super Bowl, a little UFC. We have UFC fights on today. That's right. So we'll get all that coming up next here on 97.3 ESPN FM, live on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. And also, you can watch the show on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter when you follow 97.3 ESPN. JoshHennig hanging out with you till 2 p.m.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action.
Ryder Hunt gets over and makes a great save.
The Flyers are in D.C. to face the Capitals. Coverage begins at noon. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN and listen live on the free mobile app.
Kendall Auto Plaza offers the area's best car and truck buying experience with 60 years of customer satisfaction and community service. What's on their 100-acre lot? A huge inventory of Ford, Lincoln, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Chrysler, and over 100 quality and certified pre-owned vehicles. Whether you use your car, truck, or SUV for work or play, discover why Kendall customers are so loyal. Kendall Auto Plaza, exit 10 of the Parkway on Stone Harbor Boulevard, or shop from home at KendallAutoplaza.com.
Gary is refinancing his home, so he shopped around for the lowest rate and found it at Amerisave.com, setting him up for a lifetime of savings. It's one decision he'll never regret, unlike taking that gig in the testing lab at the deodorant company.
Raise your arm, please. Oh, man, I hate this job.
Pretty regrettable, Gary. Unlike finding that low mortgage rate at Amerisave.com that's got you on your way to a lifetime of savings. Amerisave's rates won't be this low forever, so go to Amerisave.com now. Lower mortgage rates mean higher savings. Call 866-514-SAVE or visit Amerisave.com/licensing for cost information, terms, and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all states except New York. NMLS number 1168.
If you're struggling with a drug or alcohol addiction, now is the time to take action and get professional help. Call Recovery Centers of America at 1-888-RECOVERY today. You are worthy of recovery from your addiction, and calling RCA will be your first step in getting the help you need. Recovery Centers of America answers the phone and admits patients 24/7. And because safety is a top priority, all patients and staff are routinely tested for COVID-19. RCA's expert team of physicians and medical professionals will treat you with compassion and dignity and provide an evidence-based treatment plan that is custom tailored to your specific needs. Recovery Centers of America at Devon and Lighthouse are local and in-network with insurance providers, so they're best-in-class inpatient and outpatient care, offered both in-person and via teletherapy, is affordable and accessible. Make this the year you conquer your addiction. Call today, 1-888-RECOVERY. That's 1-888-RECOVERY.
Without more licensed workers, Gary's roofing business might hit its ceiling.
Hey, that new contract just got pushed up. We are going to need all hands on deck to make this happen.
Hey, Gary, you booked me on that other job next week.
It's time to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm Harvey from Bernie Robbins Jewelers. Love makes one do crazy things. Take me. I'm having a 50% off sale, a crazy Cupid 50% off Valentine's sale with interest-free financing, something we haven't done in years, featuring great Valentine's gifts and engagement diamonds at 50% off with interest-free financing. Shop BernieRobbins.com or go crazy the old-fashioned way and visit one of our stores. The 50% off Crazy Cupid sale ends February 13th. Why the 13th? If you haven't done it by then, I can't help you.
Buying some pretzel sticks?
Excuse me?
This is your wake-up call from TracFone Wireless.
Okay.
What if you didn't eat all those pretzel sticks by the end of the month, so this store took them back?
Good luck.
That's how some wireless companies are with your data, but TracFone Wireless gives you unlimited carryover data with active service, so you keep what you pay for. Plans start at $20 a month.
Wow, that's cool.
Sir, are you bothering the customers?
Yeah, hang on. This is your wake-up call, people. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. Available at major retailers. See terms and conditions at TracFone.com.
If you own a small business, you know how hard it can be to find new customers. But maybe you're unaware of new tools that can help your business stand out. Go to GetLocalCustomersNow.com for a free market competitive analysis that will show you what other businesses are doing to find new customers and how you can do it too. There's no cost and no obligation. Be one of the first business owners to sign up and receive $500 in free advertising on this station. Get started today. Visit GetLocalCustomersNow.com. That's GetLocalCustomersNow.com.
More time at home means more washing, drying, cooking, and cleaning at home, and more wear and tear on old appliances. But it's the perfect time to save on new ones at the Home Depot. For savings on the latest appliances, and right now, free delivery. From the kitchen to the laundry room, that upgrade is well within reach, and closer than ever. Save on top appliances, now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. U.S. only while supplies last. Free delivery on major appliances, $396 or more, valid through February 24th.
Hello? Hello, Mr. Crane. I'm calling about today's appointment. The tree is scheduled to fall on your RV at 2:14 today.
Any way we can reschedule? We're really enjoying our trip.
Oh, I'm sorry, but that's our only opening.
Can it just be a little tree?
Let me check. No, sorry, our file says it's a huge one.
RV owners can't schedule when things go wrong on the road. That's why there's Progressive, a leader in RV insurance.
Is it 2:14 p.m. or a.m.?
You know, I'm not sure. Can I put you on a brief hold?
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
This is Sports Bash Saturday with Josh Hennig, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Here's Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig live in the Matt Blatt Kia Studios on 97.3 ESPN. Matt Blatt Kia wants to get you approved today. Matt Blatt Kia in the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township. Also, Sports Bash Saturday being brought to you by Jenkins. Call Jenkins for heating and air conditioning installation service and maintenance, plumbing, or drain cleaning services. 609-641-6440 or visit them online at jenkinsplumbingandheating.com. And don't forget about my friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. You can get 55-1 odds with FanDuel Sportsbook. Turn $5 into $275 if you pick the winner of the Super Bowl. But you must sign up with the promo code Hennig, HENNIG, with FanDuel Sportsbook. Must be present NJ or PA to play. 21 or older. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We'll get to my picks for the night in just a moment. I just want to give you a little update on a little news again, as we mentioned earlier. There will not be Kyrie Irving tonight. He is out with a finger issue, is not COVID related. You heard Paul Hudrick say earlier that Kevin Durant is questionable for tonight. There's a possibility that he could get cleared for tonight's game. Again, Sixers back in action tomorrow. Tonight at 8 p.m. on 97.3 ESPN. Think about tomorrow's because the little Flyers news came out. Carter Hart is going to start for the Flyers tomorrow. So he is good to go. No health issues, no COVID issues with him. Was very suspicious why he disappeared the other day from practice, and he was not even the backup for Brian Elliott last night. But Carter Hart will start tomorrow versus the Caps, 12 p.m. You can hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN following Billy Schwein in the locker room. So a little Flyers and Sixers news I want to get to you there as well. All right. So I promised you all FanDuel Sportsbook picks of the weekend. So I'm actually going to start with the UFC stuff because the UFC stuff is starting in just a few hours. So for those of you who want to get involved in that action, you can get involved in that quickly. So this is a fight card on ESPN Plus. This is not a pay-per-view event, but you can watch it on ESPN Plus and on other streaming platforms as well. This is a UFC fight night. So a couple of fights on the card. There's some interesting fights on this card. I'm not going to play around with you guys. I'll let you know if this is a good card or not. I'm actually thoroughly looking forward to this card. There's a lot of good prelims. There's a lot of good fights on this card. The main event on the card is Alistair Overeem versus Alexander Volkov. A big time heavyweight matchup is the main event. The co-main event is New Jersey's own Frankie Yeager taking on Corey Sandhagen. Also, Michael Johnson versus Clay Guida. A couple other interesting fights at Cody Stamann versus Askar on the card as well. And then on the prelims, some interesting fights as well, including Mike Rodriguez versus Danilo Marquez. So also Molly McCann versus Laura Procopio. So it's some good fights, some very interesting fights on this card. I'm definitely looking forward to it. But I'm only going to give you, remember, my picks. I've said this since May. If you've been listening to me on all the shows I've been doing, I don't give you picks just for picks. I give you picks because I'm trying to find value for you guys. So let's start with what would be good value. Alexander Volkov versus Alistair Overeem. First of all, I'm picking Overeem to win. He's a plus 164 underdog. I don't understand why he's an underdog. I don't understand why these odds makers keep making him an underdog. He's been an underdog in actually 4 of his last 5 fights. All right. And those 4 fights, he's 3-1. And he's an underdog in every single one on the betting line. I don't understand why. And he's going against a guy in Volkov who, it's not like Volkov is some dominant fighter. Volkov has fought 5 times since the beginning of 2018. He is 3-2 in those fights. 3-2. That's it. He's not dominant. He's not the best in the world. He's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Meanwhile, in his last 5 fights, Alistair Overeem is 4-1. So I'm taking Overeem to win outright. But if you're someone who says the book's never wrong, fine. You want a value play? I'll give you another value play. Alistair Overeem has not had a fight go to decision since 2017. That's right. His last 7 fights have all been finishes, whether it's him winning or losing. So if you take that, the fight will end, no matter who wins, by TKO or knockout. And you take that and you parlay it with another favorite on this card. All right. Mike Rodriguez is a strong favorite. He's a rising fighter in MMA right now. You could parlay that and you get basically even odds with the knockout. Or you look at Diego Ferreira, had a big win earlier this year. You parlay it with him or Cody Stamann. In fact, I'll just give you a 3-way. Cody Stamann, Mike Rodriguez, and the main event tonight to finish by TKO or knockout. You're getting plus 32 odds. So if you throw $10 on that, you're going to win 13. So there you go. That's one. I told you Overeem as well. One more final value play for tonight. I don't understand as well why Frankie Edgar is such a heavy underdog tonight. He's plus 330. I have no idea why he's plus 330. His camp went fine. He's healthy. I understand that he lost 2 fights for moving to 135, but he beat Pedro Munoz by split decision. I don't understand it. People act like Cody Sandhagen is this undefeated fighter who's never lost. Cody Sandhagen in his last 3 fights is 2-1. He beat Marlon Moraes last. He lost to Aljamain Sterling before that. And then he beat Rafael Assunção by unanimous decision. It's not like he's going out there and dominating everybody. In fact, Sandhagen, if you look at his history, 5 of his 13 MMA wins are all by decision. It's not like he's dominating every fight. So, low value, that it would be Frankie Edgar. So there's some value plays for you for the UFC fights tonight. I mentioned before, I'm picking the Chiefs. I'm taking the spread. And any prop bet involving Travis Kelce, that's a value play this weekend. Again, FanDuel Sportsbook, use promo code Hennig, Hennig, with FanDuel Sportsbook to get 55-1 odds. You pick the winner to win the Super Bowl. You take $5 to earn to win $275. I'm Josh Hennig. Hope it was a great weekend. Don't forget, Sixers versus Nets tonight at 8 p.m. on 97.3 ESPN.
Today on Compass Media Network's coverage of NCAA basketball. It's a pivotal showdown in the Big Ten as the Illinois Fighting Illini host the Wisconsin Badgers. Can Demetric Trice and the Badgers earn a tough road win over Ayo Dosunmu and the Fighting Illini? It's Wisconsin and Illinois. If it's NCAA basketball, it's right here.
The college basketball season continues only on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 2:30.
It's a new year and an all-new Matt Blatt Nissan. Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township next to Home Depot. Help us celebrate when you get out of that old car, truck, or SUV and into a brand new Nissan. 2020 Nissan Kicks. $4,000 off MSRP on in-stock units or get 0% APR financing for 60 months on new in-stock Nissan Kicks, Sentra, or Ultima models. Plus, Matt Blatt Nissan has fast-track checkout available online at mattblattnissan.com. Our non-touch delivery and electronic paperwork ensures your safety comes first. We want to help with your credit approval today so you can drive a new Nissan with 0% APR financing. Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township or online at mattblattnissan.com. Unapproved credit. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle. All factory rebates and incentives to dealer. 0% APR financing based on 15/16 for 1,000 borrowed. Offers can't be combined. Call 888-731-5030 for all the details. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
A message from your neighbors and friends at First Bank. We've been serving residents and businesses of Sea Isle City and the surrounding communities for more than 130 years. Today's challenges, while unique, are another opportunity to show our strength and resilience. Our commitment to you remains strong. Whether it's using our drive-through services, bank by phone, the First Bank mobile app, or online banking, we're staying strong with you. Be safe and be secure. First Bank, here for you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The COVID-19 vaccine distribution has started, which is why I'm hopeful that a stronger, healthier future is in sight. But we're not there